This is Fountain
Every
Street
week I find
Church.
it hard to find the best ones, but somehow, like I said, you'll hear what I'm trying to say even when the words
Here,
are
we strive to free the mind, grow the soul, and change the world. Here, there is freedom to doubt and freedom to believe. Here, you can find a house of prayer for all people.
the swallow up Jonah.
Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Join us on the journey.
God is my shepherd, I want for nothing. My rest is in the pleasant meadows. He leadeth me where quiet waters flow. My fainting soul doth hear restore, and guideth me in the ways of peace to glorify His name. And though in death's dark valley my steps must wander, my spirit shall not fear, for thou art by me still. Thy rod and staff are with me, and they shall comfort me.
I was up in the choir room recently. I just happened to notice something that was on the board. Are you preparing the Chichester Psalms for the future? Ooh, I'm so excited about that. Oh, I'm so sad I missed it. But the same text, the 23rd Psalm, is there, but they sing it in Hebrew. And that's the reason I know the first three words, and they are so powerful to me. Adonai ro'i lo exar, 4 words. What I love about that is that the word my shepherd is contained in 2 syllables, ro'i. The E at the end means my, and the ro means shepherd. And the lo means not, and the exar means want. And when I say lo exar, it means I shall not want. And yet when I say lo exar, it feels more real than the stateliness of I shall not want. Lo exar. I do not want today. I do want my cold to find its course and move on. The peripatetic virus can find a new home whenever it wishes. But whenever Sunday happens, there's more in the room than I can give utterance to. I come with pages and hopes, and it's a matter of throwing things away because there's so much that could be said and only so much time. I think of the powerful plenitude of politics and how I was so glad for 3 weeks very nearly to hear not one word of it. a blessing I did not anticipate. The arrival of autumn, sudden, fierce, and colorful, and bone-chilling. So much in the room I cannot want. But how much can I give you? I do not know. I will try. And so I'll say a few words, and I hope that you hear in them something of nourishment, of value, of hope, of challenge. I depend upon you to get me there. May these words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be found true in thy sight, thou who art my rock and my Redeemer. I'm going to share 4 journeys this month, and I'm not going to do them one at a time. I'm going to give you a piece of each every week. You'll have to pay attention. This will be troubling for some and impossible for others, and that's all right. One journey will be about where I was in my absence, which was most importantly, in the center of it, a long, long walk, 7 days walk, in fact, along the ancient Roman wall in northern England that connects the North Sea to the Irish Sea, something called Hadrian's Wall, a dream I have had for some years, and which I am glad to have done. Another story is that of liberal religion itself, a big, sprawling, messy thing about which we speak in generalities but rarely with clarity or specifics. A journey that started with the rise of science epitomized by the work of Charles Darwin, who lives in 2 places, one in a window right up there and one in a house in England that I enjoyed visiting as part of my journey. A third story I will share is that of Fountain Street Church, an example of liberal religion, but with its own story and its own facts, its own challenges. And as Gary pointed out, reached an interesting symbolic milestone with the observance of the 100th birthday of Duncan Littlefair, its most vivid preacher, among many, I should point out. Like the readings this morning, in some ways, we stand at the end of a book that concludes when a great and noble servant dies, and not yet sure where the next book will take us. And the 4th story is The Wizard of Oz, as my title suggests, created by L. Frank Baum, whom, according to legend, enjoyed his summers up there on the Lake Michigan shore near Holland, and who found in a park a path paved with yellow bricks. You can figure the rest out. We're using that to talk about our annual pledge campaign, but it's also a fictional story that we all know and contains meanings and metaphors for all of our lives. But I'll start with the first one. 3 weeks ago tomorrow, I found myself in the town of Tynemouth, England, which is to the east of Newcastle upon Tyne. I took a train there from London and stayed the night so I could be ready to start walking westward the next day. On Facebook, if you know me there, I began posting pictures, especially of the ruined priory that stands on a cliff overlooking the North Sea in a powerfully beautiful and majestic location. Now, the wall I'm going to walk divided Britain from the barbarians to the north, people we now call Scots. That is no insult to any Scots person. They enjoy being barbaric when faced with Romans. It is the northernmost extent of the Roman Empire, something I found intriguing. But more than that, I had other reasons. I read about this wall and the path people walk a few years ago, and something about it said, I want to do that. I walk every day, go down to the Y. I have worn out treadmills in the years, but I had taken a long walk on purpose and thought, I wonder if I can do that. And I just found myself wanting to go there. And so I husbanded all the many gifts I have received from weddings and funerals over the years, and I took that money and went and did it. What it actually turned out to mean was more than I expected, but I'll tell you more about that in the next 3 weeks. I'm not going to give it all away. Why would I do that? But my first day, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my first day's walk. It was only 16 miles only, but it was flat, and that was helpful, and it was often paved, and I'll tell you about it for a few moments. It starts from the remains of the easternmost Roman fort, a place called Segedunum, right there on the Tyne River. And it starts out as a bicycle path, so it's asphalt, and I'm marching along beautifully. It's very flat, and I'm surrounded by people walking their dogs. It's a good, brisk walk. I like that very much. And after leaving the residual clump of Roman stones behind, I was finding myself not out in the countryside at all, but taking a tour of industrial and post-industrial Britain, because the city of Newcastle was, as some of you might know, a center of early British industry, especially mining coal and taking it to other places like London, where it was burned and became fog, no kidding, and building ships. We're talking sturdy, brick-making, back-breaking industries. And as I walked, I passed behind abandoned warehouses and old factories, landfills. I passed a scrap metal yard with old shopping carts piled up on top of them, glistening in the morning sun. The land was not free or wild or beautiful yet. In fact, I was walking along an old railroad bed, which meant I saw bridge abutments and occasional ties, and then now and then a piece of actual rail had been set aside. But the path eventually veered down toward the River Tyne. I love the name of the River Tyne, T-Y-N-E. It's a tidal estuary where I was walking, which meant that it was low tide and there were vast mud flats.